That's my intro. Thank you, thank you. I'm gonna move around, I'm gonna jump off the stage, I'm gonna do all kind of stuff. Is that okay? I'm gonna talk about design as a weapon. I believe that design could be used as a weapon to change the youth and give them a winning mindset. I believe in teaching design, graphic design, illustrations, photography, marketing, social media responsibility can not only reshape their mindset, but also support the community and raise some awareness. You may be asking yourself, how can deeply rooted problems in the community be solved with graphic design? See, part of the problem is that this is going through my research of starting an after-school program, and I've been teaching in the inner city for 4 years. This is Germany, Austin. I want to get some water too. How's everybody feeling? So Germany, Austin is one of my 8-year-old designers. I'm from East Cleveland original, and I was teaching in the inner city 4 years ago. And what I love about this girl is she's very tenacious, 8 years old. And one of the things that I'm doing is that I'm showing them industry standard graphic design. So I'm not holding back any punches at all. I feel like if they're old enough to hold a mouse, they're old enough to design something. So I got a classroom full of kids. They're 8 years old, boys, girls. They're coming through the classroom, which is beautiful. The thing is that me and Germany had a problem. The problem was that she had some bullying that was going on. So I was like, okay, we're gonna tackle this social issue right now. So we came up with a anti-bullying campaign. And the anti-bullying campaign slogan was, "Stop bullying or else." So some of the issues is that I lack a lot of parent engagement. What was cool about this situation is that we had a mutual friend. See, she had 5 other brothers and sisters, and a mutual friend kind of saw us on Facebook. So I was able to engage with her mother, and I'm connecting with her mother. I'm like, yeah, come and see him, because I think this is important to get the kids, because the kids do cool stuff with me, but they not always going home and letting their parents know all the cool stuff that they doing. So I'm connecting with her mom, telling her to come, hey, come and visit, come and see what they doing, you know, doing all this good stuff. And unfortunately, me and Germany had to part ways. See, her mother and a friend of hers was murdered in cold blood one Sunday afternoon. So this is like very damaging. This is very traumatic for me to deal with. Germany had to move to Texas with her mom. I mean, not with her mom. She had to move to Texas with her grandma. And see, part of the problem is that some of the problems is that the boys are not reading up to the level that they're supposed to be. So they got lower test scores. The discipline is disproportionate too. So they got all these guys that's acting up, they're kicking them out of the classroom. I don't know if it's any educators in the room, but I get what's going on. You got 10 students in there, 15 students in there, you got 2 of them that's acting up. You want to send the other ones to the office. This is the problem. We need to dial these guys in and bring them into the classroom. So, you know, a lot of this is leading to a lot of frustration. Frustrations leads to lack of opportunities. This is leading to drug abuse. This is leading to crime. This is leading to murder. This is leading to what happened to Germany. So, so I had to kind of reflect and think about, you know, how this affects me, and I think about when I was a youth. Who was that dude right there? I know y'all got Pinterest, and if you type in men's fashion, you're gonna see a dude with a sports coat and some jeans. I started that. That's not Photoshop. My life was lovely. I got both of my parents worked lovely jobs. We was living the middle class lifestyle. Small community, close-knit community. We had a peach tree in the backyard. Anybody got a peach tree in their yard? You do? Oh, that's awesome. When we got hungry, we didn't have to go in for lunch. We had everything at our disposal. So it was just lovely. I mean, I'm a 1970s baby too. Any 70s babies in here? Okay, don't be scared to raise your hand. So I'm 49. So 1970, we kind of coming from almost like the social movement of the 60s. So my father was able to get a good job at General Electric, and my mother was a bus driver as well. See, the thing was we was finally able to get a piece of the pie. So this is the middle class dream. So the whole thing behind my father and everybody in the community was to keep your head down low, do what you're told, get a job, retire, status quo, stuff like this. So everything was beautiful until I was institutionalized in the second grade. So I flunked the second grade, and that was very dramatic to me. It was not only that, I was humiliated, I was isolated, I was also mistreated by Miss Newman, who was my second grade teacher. She would take me out in the hallway and she would shake me and stuff like that. So it was very difficult for me to even engage in class at this early age. I'm only in second grade, we're only doing ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. And it was only just not me, it was other people. See, we was Caledonia Cougars. And when I talked to the guys now, I found out that they was holding a lot of their cubs back. Guys was getting held back 2 years. So this is like not only putting you in a social class, but it's systematically prone to fail. So you're kind of socially impotent at a certain level because you can't really move on. That's kind of like part of the problems that was going on. But one of the good things is that even though I wasn't connected to the school system at this point, because I'm behind, I'm going through all of this, it's kind of difficult to deal with, too, when you think about it, because I think I probably would have been able to swallow it better if my parents would have pulled me to the side to tell me what was going on. I just flunked it, then they just sent me back down there again, you know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking that, psychologically, like school, you kind of trust in this system, you trust in these building of strangers to, take care of your kid. So that's deep too, ain't it? Y'all woke? So the lucky thing is that I had my comic book, so this is what my interest was, this is what my love was. We gotta keep in mind, this was 1970, so it wasn't no Marvel movies yet. It wasn't no internet, this was the cream of the crop right here. So I was collecting my comic books, I was drawing them, I was kind of in love with that. My favorite is Daredevil. So Daredevil is Murdoch the lawyer and during the day, and then his true self, his superpowers is, Daredevil. So what's funny about it is that he could choose not to never be Daredevil. He could always stay compliant. He could always be Murdoch, honestly. So it's, he could possibly not want to embrace his true superpowers. So I feel like the solution is social change. So I feel like ordinary people like me could be highly effective and help combating some of these problems that's going on in the community and not leave it up to the teacher. I think it's somebody like me with strong values and morals that can help combating some of this stuff. And, I guess part of my thesis is to help the community, help the kids get what they need, and that's the part of the big picture. So I'm gonna go back to me, and a lot of it is mentorship. So the challenges of me being an artist and going in high school in the 80s, and the first thing that you think about in the 80s is the Reaganomics. You think about cocaine, you think about drugs, you think about this. This is kind of what was going on. And I want to say too that I'm still in this social class with the have-nots and the knuckleheads too. So I'm not really engaged with the school system at all. Part of the problem with high school was that, they probably did have role models. They had teachers, they had counselors, but they wasn't connecting to me. We had a cool commercial arts program that was called Art 1, Art 2, and we had, so we had a vocational program with commercial arts. So you had to, You had to have good grades to get in there. So after Art 1, Art 2, I ain't had good grades, so I wasn't able to get in there. The thing is this too, like my parents was working, so we had everything. Everything was beautiful at the house, but I wasn't coming home. I really wasn't engaging with the school to get in there. I just saw a building in there, and they was doing some cool stuff too. They was doing acrylic jackets back then. So this was the beginning of '80s, so this was the beginning of hip hop too. So it really wasn't no CNN or it wasn't no internet yet. So this is our heroes, and this is where we was getting our information from. So we was learning about AIDS, we was learning about crack, and we was learning about all of this through KRS-One, Public Enemy, and stuff like that. See, when I was in high school, and probably now, like our primary focus was the streets. It wasn't the school, but they wasn't connecting with us. You know what I'm saying? So through my own determination, I was able to go to school. I had a buddy of mine who went to OU. Anybody from OU up here? Went to OU? Okay. I had a buddy who went to OU. I fell in love with the campus, and I went to Akron U. Went to Akron University, and when I started out, I was a criminal justice major. And I told my friend, like, once I become a lawyer, I'm gonna get an art studio. So he's like, you might as well just be an artist. So I went, I checked it out. This is before, like, the internet was just now coming. It's 91. I look up a couple things, and we had this thing with, starving artists. So I was unsure, and I seen something called graphic design. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna check it out. And it was cool. I beta tested the first Photoshop, Illustrator. I was introduced to I was introduced to the internet, which was beautiful. I had came across some money, and I had a decision to make. I had like $2,500 at the time. It was either buy a car or buy a computer. And I bought a computer. I bought a Performer Mac that had a video capture card back in '91. I mean, I was the man, though. I was like probably the only guys who had dial-up internet at the house at the time. But the problem with Akron U is that they gave me too much freedom. See, they wasn't really prepared to, tell me on what to put in my portfolio. I kind of understand having freedom, creative freedom in your portfolio, but it really wasn't practical for me to get a job. They wasn't telling me that I was going into a dominantly white male industry and I need to take some of that Tupac out of my portfolio. So after that, I graduated, which was cool. I made it out. And I got a job at PricewaterhouseCoopers. At the time, it was Price Waterhouse, and they merged with Coopers and Lybrand. And I was on the 27th floor. I was wearing a suit every day. I hated it, and they hated me. So what was funny about it is that at the time, the internet is full speed ahead. So even though I hated it, I was always working on my craft. So I was getting into, my buddy called me up like, this new thing called web design is coming out. We need to learn about these MP3s. So I was getting into doing Flash animations. I was doing HTML. I was reading code. I was doing all of this stuff. I'm selling stuff on eBay when they not looking. Somebody told my manager, like, every time I come into the office, he's always on eBay. So what happened with PricewaterhouseCoopers was cool is that they came up with something called brand guidelines. So brand guidelines is some branding standards or colors, images to use for their collateral. See, I was responsible for all the collateral at Pricewaterhouse. So that's working with the auditors, the lawyers, marketing. I was doing brochures, pamphlets, you name it, I was doing it all. So the brand guidelines was genius for them to do because what they was able to do was they was able to put everything in a manual. So it was like a cookie cutter design. And when you break stuff down into smaller parts like that, that make it easier to do, and that makes the value of the designer go down. So eventually they outsourced the work to India, and then that made me not as valuable anymore, even though I was there for 10 years. So I'm there for 10 years, I'm trying to be compliant, I'm trying to do what I'm told. See, this kind of based off of, you're not as valuable when you're following this manual. So another key point that happened too during this period was like 2000, I I want to say 2007, 2008, the economy tanked. See, my parents ain't really get me prepared for this to happen too. Right now, hiring is beautiful and all of this stuff, but you never know what could happen to the economy, and are you ready for it to tank and what you're gonna do? And, and be ready to pivot from that. So I was out of work for 5 years. So it was a tough time because I had jumped a couple jobs. So I was working at Time Warner. I'm probably making the most money I ever made because every time I jumped from Pricewaterhouse to Time Warner to the next job, I was making $10,000 jumps, which was cool. But then, the economy tanked and then I was out of work. So what do I do now? It was just a tough time and I had to, really try to find some work. The thing is that I'm gonna go back to graduating in the late 90s as a designer is that they really didn't work on us. They just kind of showed us how to make a portfolio. They really didn't tell us a lot about the business side. So, and that's about licensing your work and getting retention on your work. I was kind of on my own. See, along the way, it wasn't really no mentors. I'm gonna go back again because I missed the point. So the thing is, when I was talking about high school, I felt like somebody from commercial art should have been coming down to Art 1 and Art 2 to seek me out, to help me along the way. And then in corporate world too, I felt like somebody should have been coming down to kind of help, me and my companions out to figure our way through. So I was working here and there, but it was kind of not consistent enough. So I started volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club, and after probably a month, they hired me as an art instructor. So I'm teaching painting, ceramics, and drawings. I'm over ratio, I'm out of my comfort zone, I'm not an educator, I don't know nothing about grades, I don't know nothing about curriculum, I don't know anything about any of this stuff. I'm dealing with fighting, I'm dealing with hunger, drugs, gangs, all of this stuff. It was crazy, but I really didn't have a lot of options. The second day that I started working with them, they stole my car. Yeah. I don't think they would have stole my car if they knew me, but it was a new car, it was a new situation, so now I gotta walk, because I really didn't have no situation to get me no transportation at the time. So I had somebody say, if they would have stole my car, I would have quit. But that's the thing, this was before the graphic design program. If I would have quit, I wouldn't be standing in front of y'all. You sleepy? I got people yawning. You need some water? I'm kidding. So, I got to a point where I started trying to network myself too. So I was always still in the community. I was always still designing and stuff. So I had went to a conference called Weapons of Mass Creation in Cleveland, and they had an event called Ink Wars. I came back from Ink Wars so pumped, I just ignored them and just started drawing because I was practicing to be on there. Look how I'm dressed. Look at that pink puff. They gave us some orange shirts, some blue shirts. They need to see some examples. I'm dressing like the boss, and I'm ignoring them because they didn't even know this type of, I don't know. I just was trying to bring it. I was just being myself for the most part. I'm trying to break all the rules I can. So I seen some consultants coming in doing some specialized work. I brought the attention to my art director and said, let me come in and let me do some specialized work. So what I did was, they said, they went for it. So I resigned within a year. I came back and I was rotating. So I was hitting 7 locations, 27 max, and I was dealing with 100 kids a month, which was cool. So I'm teaching them everything from not InDesign, but mostly Illustrator and Photoshop at this point. I'm doing exposure weeks. So every quarter, I'm going to different schools. I'm pulling out my laptop and I'm showing them what they could do as a designer. So this is kind of really engaging them and kind of bringing them in and trying to show them something else that they really don't know about. One of the things I was doing some speed art. So I'm growing my portfolio up at the same time too. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with speed art, but you could use some screen capturing program, you could capture your work. So I'm doing, probably like 2-3 hours of work, depending on how ambitious I am. And I'm using this as a way to connect with them. So they can really see. So once they see me put these together and the thought process behind this, it's an easier way for me to engage with them. And they doing the work too. So they getting in, and then you gotta think about it, like the classroom setup is really not a normal classroom. I'm kind of teaching from their back because they got the computers like facing the wall, so it's a little difficult. I don't have no screens. I'm in between a pool table and a PlayStation games and stuff like that. So you got to keep in mind too, this after school. So the last thing they want to do is really do some work. They kind of really in the play mode. So for them to come in and kind of do some work like this is really cool for me to see. And then it builds up their confidence too, because they're eager to come in and get to rocking and doing some stuff. So this is them kind of interacting with some typing stuff. How's everybody? How's everybody? How's everybody? Anybody need anything? So we talk about, this process that we're going through, but college is not necessary also have to be an option either. We talk about entrepreneurship and the benefits of falling through on that. Part of it is just stop consuming so much and start producing some content. Right now, we're not really waiting for college. We want to do it now. I think if we wait for college, it's going to be too late. They're already like in the 7th and 8th grade. I'm already teaching them college standard stuff already right now anyway. So, we talk about hard work, hustling, and getting this attitude right now. I'm taking them to the Browns. I'm taking them to design conferences. The design conference almost like this is like for people that's like in college or people that's looking for some inspiration. So it's really not no little kids in here, but they need to be in here. They need to see people like me on stage. They need to meet people, cool people like you. So this is part of the thing that I was doing. So they're doing posters and stuff for the Browns, and we're dropping them off at the facility. So this is what this was about. That's my man Camden, and he was kind of enjoying himself. Taking them to board meetings, just taking action and letting them know what needs to be done. Like, they so much in play mode. Like, I really think that the way things is going in the community, that there's really no time to wait. I mean, it's practical to do these things right now. So that's what we was doing. We was kind of doing some design thinking and strategies and getting them in the board meetings and getting them to be serious and do that stuff. This is more about, I was just taking them to participating and engaging. When I'm taking to the conferences, this is about networking. So I'm telling them, pull out your phone, find out who these guys are, tweet about what's going on, engage with these guys, get these guys your number now. So I'm trying to instill this in them right now. I think it don't just happen when you get grown. I think part of the thing is that a lot of kids think that they got to be grown to make money and they got to be grown to do these things, so they want to play all the time. Self-esteem and morals. This is building up their mindset. So one of the things that I'm doing is like, it's kind of sort of on the principles of design and layout, but it's all about mindset too. It's all about having a good attitude. It's all about being enthusiastic. It's all about being eager to jump out their bed and really do something with their life. I took them to the Cavaliers, and we did a full-blown design initiative with the Cavaliers web design and graphic design team. Nobody's really doing this. Look at my man DeAngelis on that table, bruh. That's a boss pose right there. When I saw that pose, I was like, he gonna be a boss. Look at them, they got it, and I love that. I love to see that. I love this. They got some bobbleheads. They got all of this stuff. Like, I took them to Highland Software. Highland Software is a content management facility in Cleveland. It's like the closest to Google that you can get. You know, they got sliding boards, they got all this stuff. They was even asking questions like, well, what do they do at work? So they're trying to figure out, they don't understand like what people are doing at work. So, you know, it's a good field trip for them to go to and to get to, you know, see actual people working. I wasn't in the office, I ain't do nothing. I ain't see an office till I was like 20 years old. I put them on the news. I put them in front of the camera. I'm trying to get them to start, you know, critical thinking and being able to jump in front of the camera and be able to do their thing. Talk about creating content. I'm gonna talk about that some more too. So one of the things is what I'm trying to turn them into is smart creators. See, Peter Drucker came up with coined a term called a knowledge worker. A knowledge worker is somebody who was only good at one thing. Eric Smith was involved with the hiring at Google, and he came up with something called smart creators. So what smart creators are is 4 things. It's deep technical knowledge, it's business savvy, it's having a creative flair, and it's a hands-on approach to getting stuff done. That's my son too. So deep technical knowledge is really getting deep into the software. So I had this young man right here come to me. He had some sketches in the book. We took those sketches and we turned them into vector characters. So this is the stuff that, you know, just give me the goosebumps, and, you know, I love seeing this. So we going over examples of the work. So I'm pulling up stuff. I mean, like when I was coming up, we didn't have Google. I couldn't just pull up clouds and pull up lightning and pull up. I had to go to the library and get this stuff. This is my man, Derry. He designed this poster. Look at that. That's when LeBron was with us. I took him to the Cavaliers to drop this poster off. So, you know, hands-on approach to getting stuff done. You know, being able to smile and talk to some people and be able to talk about their ideas and don't be scared. I also got some young photographers that I hang out with. They almost like my nephews because I'm cool with their parents. So we go, and this like keeps me young too. So these guys is like some dope photographers, and they follow me around. I follow them, and I'm jumping fences. I'm doing all of this stuff. It makes me feel young again. Did I say that already? You know, I'm getting a lot of attention from what I've been doing, and people are donating clothes to me for the kids. Ohio Against the World, check that out. My man had gave me a bunch of clothes, and I was dropping them off and engaging with them. So, and I told him to tag him and do all of this stuff. I want to talk about another concept, Acre Full of Diamonds. It was an African guy, and he was in search of some diamonds, and he was frustrated trying to find those diamonds, and he ended up committing suicide. And somebody else got his land, and this is a true story too. Somebody else got his land, and lo and behold, he was already living on an acre of diamonds. See, part of the problem was that he didn't do enough research to see what diamonds look like in their raw state, and he also didn't research and look on his land as well. So that's kind of what's going on with me when the kids are walking past these computers all the time, or even when I'm talking to them, because I'm losing a lot of them. They're not engaging all the time, or they moving, or I don't have like the support that I should be getting. So I think part of the big picture is that I want everybody to take a more responsible role and come and, you know, give back and come and see how you can help, because this problem it affects all of us too. So a couple things that I started doing. What I basically did was I started videotaping my class. So I kind of turned myself into a personal brand. I got a YouTube channel. Everything is Please add me and subscribe. I was gonna say that for last, but Jay Working, that's my handle. So the thing is when I started recording my class, I kind of saw, I was kind of just recording my class just to see my teaching style, but I could kind of see that I was doing more than just teaching them the principles of design. I was teaching them about morals and values and things like that. So I was using the social networks to distribute this content, and I just wanted to be an example for them to create content around what they're doing. I think that's the most important thing. I think that, you know, the days of getting a job just with a resume and some bullet points, those days is over. I think they want to see some type of content. I think everybody in here should know that. Either it's going to be some writing, some video, podcasts, or possibly all three. I don't have a teaching license, but I'm teaching in all the inner city schools. So I'm using these videos as leverage to get into other schools. So I'm kind of coming in recommended. I've been on probably like 10 or 15 podcasts. So my website, I'm using my website as a hub to distribute all of this content. And the videos is what I'm doing is doing a vlog like every Saturday, and I kind of cut the vlog up into little smaller commercials, and I'm distributing those videos into smaller chunks on the other social networks. I'm really trying to shake up and disrupt LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn isn't utilized like it should be, so I'm putting a lot of content on there as well. Okay, keep it moving. 4 stages of competence. This is kind of some of the practices of what I'm doing, kind of something to think about. The first stage is incompetent and unconscious. So this is basically you don't know what you don't know. Second stage would be incompetent but conscious. So you kind of know about it, but you just don't know how to do it. So the first stage is like I'm trying to wake them up. They don't know that if you don't know that you're in a prison, you don't even know that they break out of it. The third stage would be conscious competence. So you can do something, but you have a little difficulty doing it. Like you playing the piano and you kind of got to think like, where's that key at to do that? Because you kind of know it some. But the final stage and the stage that I'm trying to get them to, and I'm trying to get myself on certain levels, is subconscious consciousness. So this is just like muscle memory. You could do it without thinking. So I'm trying to get them trying to wake them up and get them some awareness of that you could be a designer, that you could be cool. So I'm preaching this to them in class. Another thing that I'm trying to get them to understand is about this concept, the well, the spark, and the will. So the well is like a well, right? The well is like your brain, almost like this container. So the more content that you bring in, the deeper your well is. So the more things that you read about, the deeper your well is. So if you have a shallow well, you're never gonna have a spark. See, the spark is the idea. The shallow your well is, the less you're gonna have a spark. So I'm trying to inform them about Airbnb. I'm trying to inform them about Uber and things like this so they could disrupt. See, they're the future. These are the only people that's gonna, these are the guys who's gonna do the next best thing. If they don't have the information that they need, they never gonna have the spark. But we can have the spark all day long if we don't have the will. The will is the execution. So, my man in the front with the green. I like that beard, man. It look very cool, man. You all shining me up here right now. You could always tell a designer, can't you? I'm gonna talk about Elijah. Elijah is one of my students, Latino, very excellent individual. One of the problems with Elijah is he can't read. So he's using Google to search terms, and I'm kind of working with him with it, but I'm basically I'm just a designer, teaching him what to do. But he's going above and beyond, and it's like, he's the underdog, kind of reminds me of myself, and I love seeing the stuff that he's doing because he's like, a lot of the students, they come in, I don't know if they're really interested in coming in, but I give them 2 or 3 steps. they'll kind of go through the steps and then they run off. Well, Elijah, he just goes and does like 7 more steps. So when I see this, I can really see a lot of the designers doing this, and I can really pick them out. And I just encourage him to keep doing what he's doing, and I let the teachers know that he's my top designer too. I started something called, I didn't start something, but I got with a lot of my designer buddies, and we did something called Spark 216. And Spark 216 is almost like a digital science fair. And what we did is we all got together and we had 6 disciplines. And this is non-tech, so we had 6 tables. And we kind of rotated some kids almost like on a whole Saturday evening. We had an illustrator table, we had an architect table, we had a drawing table, a photography table, and we had like 2 professionals per table. I had people from the Browns, I had architects coming in, and this is all about awareness. We had a parent piece too, so we was able to give some parents some collaterals on. I had a book from AGI that had the salaries of the designers, copywriters, you name it. So it's really engaging the parents too and letting them know what's going on and just giving them a bird's eye view of helping them out. Ain't that cool? So it's all about giving back. It's all about going against the status quo. It's all about breaking rules, breaking rapport. It's all about, we want the best for humanity. We want the best for everybody, and helping these guys and encouraging these guys to, do this stuff. And I would say, to reach out as much as possible. I would say to connect with me. I would say to go to the schools and see what type of programs they got. I would say find somebody to donate. I would say go to community centers and see what's going on and just tap in and see what's going on. So I'm gonna end on that note.